Alright guys, welcome back to another interview on MMAUnhinged. Today we are joined by one of the biggest prospects coming out of Britain, but he's not from Britain, Modestas Bukauskas. How's it going?
Yeah, really good. Thank you very much, mate. How you doing?
I'm doing great, thank you so much. So you, as I said there, you're not born in Britain, but you're fighting out of Britain. You were born in Lithuania. What was it like to transition to the UK?
Well, it was quite early for me to sort of remember that transition. I moved to the UK when I was 3 years old, and obviously, pretty much all my childhood life has been, growing up in the UK and stuff like that. I mean, as I mentioned before, I moved to America as well for 2 years when I was 16. But yeah, I mean, like I say, all my childhood memories are memories of obviously me growing up in the UK and all the experiences I had here. So, obviously I've got like the heritage and the patriotism towards my home country, which is Lithuania and stuff like that. And, every time I visited back, when I've gone back home to see grandparents and stuff like that, there's something like in the air that feels like home. Like obviously that'll forever be my home country and my home, like my spirit and stuff. But yeah, man, obviously I've enjoyed the whole experience of living out in the UK.
Yeah, 100%. If I had the choice of Lithuania and the UK, I know who I'd choose straight away.
Yeah.
It definitely would be Lithuania.
Yeah, definitely. Sure.
So while we're talking about how it all started, can you tell us how you found MMA and how your dad kind of helped you? How he influenced you, made you choose MMA.
Well, I don't think he necessarily wanted me to. I think he wanted me to pursue other sports. Realistically, he was a former Soviet Union no holds barred heavyweight champion, so obviously he knew his stuff. And he actually did like a lot of boxing here earlier on. Whenever we moved into England and stuff like that. So, fortunately, he just he left. Like he competed back when MMA was like in its very early days before it became mainstream. So obviously I think it would be interesting to see what would have happened if he was actually able to be given that opportunity to go out into the mainstream and fight in like those early UFC shows and stuff like that. But obviously, so he had an amazing wealth of experience, mixing like his own style between sambo, karate, kickboxing, and sort of mixing it all together. And then he started teaching me, and it started off, oh yeah, when you're like 5 years old, oh here's a cool kick, this, that, and it looks all cool and fun when you're 5 years old, and then like 2-3 weeks later, it's like, okay, now we're training hard. It's like, oh great. Do you know what I mean? It's like I sort of had no choice. So but I think being forced to do it from a young age, taught me a lot about discipline and improving my skill sets and stuff like that. So I'm really quite grateful that I was sort of like pushed into it. I mean, I started competing in kickboxing when I was 8. I had 4 British kickboxing titles, so that was sort of like my earliest days of competing. And then we sort of branched out, done like combat jiu-jitsu tournaments and stuff like that. So yeah, I mean, I took a bit of a hiatus away from it because, like I said, my dad I don't think he never necessarily ever wanted me to be like a fighter, but he always wanted me to do the best that I could in like all the sports and everything. So I also tried tennis, I tried basketball. Like I said, I went to America playing basketball for 2 years, played American football out there. But yeah, I wanted to try and get a scholarship to play in college. That it didn't turn out the way I wanted it. But so then when I was 18, my dad was like, well, your last shot of becoming a professional athlete is down the MMA route, since you have quite a good heritage there, and obviously you've been competing and winning stuff in that like pretty much your whole life. So yeah, then pretty much the easy decision to make. Okay, when I come back home, I'm going to start doing MMA.
Yeah, so you made your amateur debut in 2014, and you said that there your dad passed down the knowledge from his no holds bar. Is there any footage of him fighting that we could actually watch? Or are we talking way back?
Like, well, I mean, it was like sort of like 1990, like early 1990s. But we might have some footage somewhere on YouTube if you type his name, but I'm not 100% sure. I think he's got like some old like VHS tapes, like them old sitting around somewhere around the house. But aside from that, obviously I've got like, yeah, I don't know if you can find it anywhere really.
Yeah, I believe, was it no holds bar? Was it like it was no holds bar, then it transitioned into MMA and got his rules and stuff like that?
Yeah, so it was just like very early stages of MMA.
Yeah.
had like particular rule sets and stuff like that, and like obviously the gear that you wore was different. Like, you know, the gloves were barely even gloves back at that point. I mean, they wore the gi earlier on in the day. So yeah, obviously it's funny to see how it's sort of transitioned over the years, like from the early days to now.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, as you said there was like no really rules. There was groin shots, headbutts, eye gouging. There was a lot.
Yeah. The whole package. So so yeah, as you can tell, my dad was a pretty scary motherfucker back in the day, and he still is.
Yeah, I would presume that you still train with him today. Do you roll with each other? How does that go?
Well, at the minute, he would love to do that. Like,
Yeah.
and I know, hell, like he's always like itching to be able to do more stuff, and you know, be able to rock and like, you know, do some different movements and wrestle. But unfortunately, you know, just over age and like, you know, he's been competing as like a high level athlete for so many. I mean, he was one of the top 10 swimmers in the country. You know, he had a dream of going to the Olympics and stuff like that. So, you know, he's been a athlete for years. So obviously that's taken a toll on his body, and now, like, you know, his back, his shoulder and stuff like that. So I can drill certain movements, but I can't do too many crazy things, or I can't, you know, like spar or roll, just because his body's now starting to break down. Whereas mine's is, you know, only getting towards its peak. His is sort of on the way down. But other than that, I mean, he's still fast as hell. You know, you can still show all like the different movements, everything. He's still a massive inspiration. Obviously, yes, he still coaches me to this day. And yeah, what we've managed to accomplish is amazing up until this point. I know we're going to accomplish a hell of a lot more.
100%. A former Cage Warriors light heavyweight champion. That's like an accomplishment that not many people can achieve in their MMA career, and you managed to achieve it. That must have felt great.
Oh yeah, like obviously, I had quite a rocky road with Cage Warriors. I mean, you know, I'd visualised that I was going to win the title since day one. I mean, I had like quite a long break due to injury and stuff like that, and just having to change certain things in my game and add different things to my training and stuff like that, and try and really improve my skill set. But yeah, I mean, I felt like at a certain point, they sort of didn't believe in me. I know I lost the first fight with them, and then that's when it's like, oh yeah, well, what's this guy doing, sort of thing. So I remember when I just got back from injury, and like, you know, sort of a lot of bad things happening, I took a kickboxing fight to sort of get their attention, and the next thing you know, that's what got their attention to get me a fight. And then I went on a massive win streak, and then after that I just believed in myself, knew that my skill set was gradually improving. That's when, you know, after my second fight back after injury, that's when I started training regularly at BST, and you know, all the guys there are absolutely amazing. You know, the coach Danny Batten and Raymond and stuff like that, and like all the other training partners that with high level grappling and stuff like that. So that really like sort of elevated my game, and then to be, you know, sort of be able to compete with the top guys in Europe. So yeah, it was an amazing journey, and obviously, for me at that point, it was definitely like the pinnacle of my career. I definitely feel like the first, like my Cage Warriors title win against Hamlet was probably the best feelings I've had after a fight ever. Like, don't get me wrong, I mean, having the UFC debut and winning was absolutely amazing as well. Like, it's weird because it felt just very natural and stuff like that. But I have to admit, being crowned the champion after, you know, everyone sort of counting me out and putting me as a massive underdog and this and that, it was very nice to prove all the haters wrong and yeah, lift the title for myself and for my country.
Yeah, that was sort of some of the questions I had earlier. You answered it in all in one go, so we'll skip them ones out. But before we get on to like your career and what you've done in the 205-pound division and once upon a time in the 185-pound division, but yeah, we'll talk about before you got into MMA. You was a mobile shop. You worked in a mobile shop. How good does it feel to say that you're a full-time MMA fighter now?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long road. It's been a long journey. Still, it's obviously, you know, you still have your struggles and your things that you have to go through, as any fighter does, especially when you're just starting out in the UFC and just starting to make a bit more money and this and that. Like, you still want to do more and you know, be able to support yourself and support your family. But yeah, I mean, we started off, like I said, like a telephone engineer, they call it, but it's literally just like phone, like, you know, just basically just to make enough money just so I could just train and compete and get better and stuff like that. And, you know, like I got a sponsor for 2 years, and then everything went tits up, and I lost that sponsor, and then, you know, like I had no money, no job, and this and that, and like an injured leg, and then had to come back through that, and then managed to get myself a job at the Gym and Tonic, which is funny a name for a gym, right? But yeah, I worked there for a couple of years, and then it got to the point where it became too stressful to be able to have to, you know, really put my heart out to do such a physically enduring job, physically stressful job, and then have to go and train MMA. And then right before the title fight, that's when I said, like, you know, I've got to take this full time. And then you know, luckily everything all worked to plan, and then I got myself a really good management in the Iridium Sports Agency, and then things just sort of took off from there. So you know, and then from that, you know, to being able to give your parents your 50 grand bonus, you know, it was quite a very special moment for me, because I've been writing it and thinking about it and dreaming about it all the time, and, you know, for it to finally happen was absolutely amazing. So yeah, man, it's been a crazy road, was all I can say. But I think those lessons that you learn through the tough times is what helps you even through the good times.
Yeah, you said it there that you earned the 50,000 bonus. That was on your UFC debut, and you said you gave it to your parents. Did you give it all to your parents?
Yeah, I gave half to my dad and half to my mum. So I literally just, I mean, look, I made enough money from whatever I made from my earnings that I thought, I'd written it down, because you know, my parents have been struggling for a long time financially, so I wanted to give a bit of a helping hand. So if I can give some sort of help, you know, and I can do it through my career, then obviously I'm going to do it. So that meant a lot to me. That's a big part of why I'm also trying to compete at the highest level and do these things, so I can help my family out. So there was the first installment, and there'll be plenty more installments coming through, I'm sure.
Yeah, because the bonus comes at is it like monthly or something like that?
Well, you get the bonus if you get the performance bonus in a fight. So if you like have a really spectacular knockout, or you have the fight of the night, they'll give you the 50 grand bonus. So you have to earn it, basically.
Yeah, so I was talking to Justin James. He also got a performance bonus, but he didn't get his until, I think it was like 2 months after or something like that. And
right, yeah. I think mine came about 6 weeks after the fight. Yeah, but then when you see a massive wad of cash just sitting here after 6 weeks, you're like, oh, well, it was worth the wait.
Yeah, 100%. I can imagine what that felt like, and giving it to your parents as well, that probably felt even more special.
100%. Yeah, like I said, I always promised my my dad and my mum that I'll give it to them with my first bonus for my first UFC win, and, you know, lo and behold, it happened. And like I said, there's going to be many more to come. This is only just the beginning, and then, you know, hopefully I'll be able to start doing a lot more things for myself, and, you know, start making, you know, smart investments, and just keep building. But obviously the main focus is going out there, improving and winning fights.
Yeah, 100%. Talking about the beginning, it all started with 185 pounds for you.
Yeah.
How the hell did you make middleweight?
That's a question that I'm still struggling to figure out the answer to now myself, actually. I think it's just I was a bit of a smaller frame. You know, I used to cut weight in a bit of a wrong way. Like, I used to like really lower my calories, so I don't think it was actually very healthy for me. I used to cut a lot of water, and I looked very like drawn out and skinny, and it was mad. But obviously, because I knew a lot of guys are going to have a very massive like size advantage over me, I started at light heavyweight in amateur, and then I went to middleweight just to, you know, because I thought that's the logical route. And, you know, obviously I could make middleweight, but it was very, very tough to make. I know some fighters still do that to this day. So, I mean, whether I can make middleweight again, probably not. I'll probably have to chop an arm off now to make weight. But I do make light heavyweight very comfortably. So, I think it's just because my body just naturally filled out, and then when I started doing strength and conditioning with my dad, then obviously it naturally filled out even more. I became stronger, and it just became more natural to move up in weight.
Yeah, 100%. I still, honestly, beyond me. When I'm trying to think of you trying to make 185 pounds, I watched your fight against, I think it was John Redmond, when you were walking out and you could see the frame compared to that you are now, it's completely different.
Yeah, no, 100%. But I've got to give a big credit to my dad for, sort of enforcing the strength and conditioning upon me, because it's elevated my game massively in so many different areas. And I can feel strong against guys who are supposed to be, really, really strong out there, just from the different techniques and stuff that he uses. So
I answered this question a little bit earlier on. I said, when you got that Cage Warriors belt and and they're strapping it around your waist, what went through your head and how did you feel?
Well, I'd been visualizing that would happen, and then for it to come into real life, it almost felt like that. It almost felt like the dream was more real than the actual thing, if you get what I'm saying. It was weird, for it to actually be happening. I had to literally pinch myself to say, is this actually happening, or am I still dreaming right now? Obviously I knew that I had the skill set, and I knew that I could win that fight and do what I had to do, but for it to actually be there, and then when I was talking on the microphone doing a post-fight interview and stuff like that, it was just mad. And especially having such amazing support. I had loads. That was a fight where I had literally the most people that have ever come to a fight, and for them to all see it, and for them to see me putting the belt on my dad's shoulder and stuff like that was an amazing feeling. It's something that you can't really describe, but it's like a euphoric feeling that it's sort of like I said, you have to keep pinching yourself, because you can't believe that it's actually happening. It's like the amount of happiness that I had, and relief that all my hard work had paid off was massive. So still to this day, that is probably one of the best things I've ever had in MMA.
Yeah, then shortly after that, that when you won the belt, the Cage Warriors, you defended it one time, and then you got called up to the UFC. What was the immediate thoughts when you got called up? You said you're a UFC fighter. You're fighting in I think did you get it on short notice?
I was one of the. Yeah, I was one of the very few athletes that get signed just outright without a last minute call up. Mm-hmm. And for me, obviously, I mean, my manager had been talking and stuff like that, saying, just stay ready, you could get something last minute, because at that point, leading into December, I didn't know what was going to happen. I didn't know if I was going to fight. I didn't know, and luckily I got signed at the right time, just before the pandemic happened, and fight for the biggest organization in the world, which was able to persevere through all the hard times. But there was quite, after the fight, a lot, I was just ready to get back into the cage again. I'm like, okay, so when am I going to fight next? What's going to happen? Do I need to do one more defense? I had no idea where my career was going to go at that point. I was like, okay, the UFC could happen, but it's not 100%. They were talking about contender series, so there's so many things that were up in the air that I literally had absolutely no idea whether it was all going to pull through and it was all going to happen for me. So whenever I got the call at literally 4 o'clock in the morning, as I'm going for my morning pee, come back, look at my phone, my manager messaging me and then saying I need to talk to you, and I was like, oh well, I was sort of thinking nothing of it, but usually he never says, can you call me at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then when he told me, how do you feel about fighting in the UFC in your next fight, I'm like, say what? I literally. I literally said no way, or I think literally 5 or 6 times. As much as I'd been visualizing that, I knew that was going to happen, and that's the next logical step. That's exactly what wanted to happen. It was quite again surreal that the call had finally come through. So after all the waiting game and all, having to show a lot of patience and just keep training, keep trying to get better, and then next thing you know, they say you're in the UFC, and after all the struggles that I've been through, all the people that were not believing in me, thinking that I was never going to make it, and then next thing you know, it happens. It was a big is a big deal for me. But I knew at that point, then obviously I'm going to be fighting the best guys in the world, so I was ready for that challenge.
100%, and you did fight the best guys in the world. You in your UFC debut, you got the win, but everyone thought it was controversial. But in my opinion, that guy was out. If you look at him on the cage, he fell down. The guy was completely, he didn't know where he was. What do you make of that stoppage?
Well, I mean, if the guy's not getting up, then clearly he's not ready to fight. I hit him in all the right spots on the side of the head. As you can see in the camera, the spot was right on the red area where they said that it was all clean. I mean, the guy came up to me in the locker room beforehand, and you know, good job to down him overhead. He can see it clearly. He doesn't need the instant. If he can see it, he knows that the shot's illegal. Do you know what I mean? So, and not only that, I mean, you know, they're saying, oh yeah, well, because he fell backwards, he tried to lean on the cage, and then they opened the door. It's like, well, why do you need to lean your back on the cage to get up? You know what I mean? If you're there ready to fight, he should have got up straight away and went straight to his corner. But clearly, that wasn't the case. So, you know, he done a good job. That, and even when he sat down afterwards, he wasn't ready to continue. So he wouldn't have been able to go into a second round. So, I mean, I felt like if he would have went to his corner, he still would have been dazed. They probably would have still stopped it anyways because he wasn't ready to fight. But you know, like I say, credit to him. He's an amazing competitive athlete, and I'm sure he's going to go out and do damage in the middleweight division.
Yeah, 100%. But then you got the bonus. We spoke about this, and did it really sink in that you were a UFC fighter when you got that win, and then you thought, actually, you know, I'm in the big leagues now. I've got a win in the big leagues. I bet that felt incredible.
Yeah, it just felt natural. It just felt like, you know, after seeing everything on TV, like all these reporters that you'd seen, that you'd been, you know, dreaming about talking in front of, and now it's finally happening. It was a massive deal. Like I say, when all the things that you've been thinking about and dreaming about and visualizing, they all come to life. Like, it almost feels surreal. But it was an absolutely amazing experience out in Abu Dhabi. It was so very well run, so professional, and then, you know, everything felt great. You know, going to do all these different interviews with different people and stuff like that. Yeah, but then I knew, like, you know, I've put my foot in the door. I've made a clear step into the door of the UFC. Now I just want to make a statement and make a name for myself. So I knew that, obviously, although it was a big win, I was just ready to go get in there and fight again, really.
Yeah, 100%. You kind of answered a lot of my questions already. You're really good at getting them topics done and finished. So I'll move on to my next question. In your career, you've been bouncing back between blood, sweat and tears, your dad's gym, and in Albuquerque, New Mexico, you know, Jackson Wink. You've been bouncing back between those gyms. How does it feel to, like, you know, go over to America, learn from the best in the world, best coaches in the world, and train like someone like John Jones? Like, this guy's one of the best fighters, if not the best fighter in their mixed martial arts. That's incredible, right?
Yeah, I mean, I went out there twice. I didn't actually go back over there after those times, but yeah, the first time I went out there, it was when their new gym just got built, and there's been no refurbishment. It's literally like a very, very basic sort of just basically 4 walls, and then you got the mats and the cages downstairs, but nothing was like really done up that much. The second time I went there, even then it was still not like all proper, but it was already starting to make moves. Like, it was starting to become more like a proper like facility. And now, obviously, if you see it now, I mean, I'm not 100% sure what's like, but you see on pictures, like, it's done done properly. Like, they've got more mat space, more areas. Like they've got like a cafeteria and stuff like that. So, you know, they've done an amazing job with it. Obviously, to see from where it started to where it is now, it's a massive improvement over the years. I got to train out with Arlovsky, and, you know, getting to meet again these guys like Coach Wink and Coach Jackson and stuff like that. You know, some of the most highly regarded coaches in the world. Obviously, absolutely amazing to get to learn from those guys, and then getting to train with John Jones himself. Like, literally, when he walked onto the mat the first time, I was completely starstruck. I'm like, this is a guy I've been watching on TV all my life, and I'm like, now I get to train with this guy. And the thing is, obviously, I wasn't going to push myself onto him, like, you know, to want to train with him. I'm like, listen, if he wants to train with me, I'll train. And then, luckily, you know, every single day, you know, he wanted to train with me, he wanted to do rounds with me, and I was very grateful and very thankful and honoured to have that experience with him. So, and obviously, it helped elevate my game. It showed me that, you know, I do have talent. I do have what it takes to go to the top. So, he gave me some very useful tips, and I'm forever grateful. I've been training at a load of different places, though. To be fair, I've been going to boxing gyms. I've trained a bit with some Thai guys now, like since my last fight. You know, I've been just training at all different places that are going to help me to get better. You know, at Legion Wrestling, I've trained with a couple of guys from there. So with lockdown, I just got, you know, one of the guys who's my weight to come train with me at my house, since I've got a facility at home. Obviously, my dad, BST. Podger Grace's Academy, Mill Hill, BJJ, but mainly with Ed Ingemels now, and some of his guys. So really, I've just been trying to get the best training from the best people in all different areas, and then BST sort of just helps me mesh everything together along with my dad. So it's getting all the singular arts to become as good as I can in all of those, and then put it all together, which is essentially what you need in MMA. You can't just be singular in any art. You have to be able to mesh it all together. That's what makes the greatest fighters in the world.
Yeah, 100%. Is there any future plans that maybe you would like to get a full camp out in Albuquerque and for a fight?
Do you know what? A lot of people have asked me that, and to be fair, I don't see any need. The only real thing would be to obviously get different sparring partners, but in terms of skill set stuff, like I mean, I get to do jiu-jitsu with Hodger Gracie, one of the best ever to do jiu-jitsu. Some very other, like I said, Ed Ingemels and some other really good guys, like top level black belts in jiu-jitsu. You got, you know, Danny Batten and all of his guys at BST helping me with the MMA stuff, and especially with the wrestling. The guys at Legion, the guy who's going to come up. So I've got, in each different aspect, I've got some of the best training partners and coaches. So I don't feel like there's any need to go out there, unless it would be for sparring partners and maybe like different looks on maybe different ideas to float around different things. But in all fairness, I think I've got every area fully cut, and you know, and I didn't really think that it would be possible to have all areas covered. Oh, and I've also trained a little bit at Manchester top team as well. They've got some really good guys, like, you know, like Carl Prince, really good coach. So, do you know what I mean? Like, at the end of the day, I'm getting a very varied view on different things in MMA. And really good training partners, so I don't really need to leave. At one point, it was a stage where I thought I'd need to go out, but now there's no need anymore. It's more of a case of if I want to go out there. And at the minute, obviously with lockdown, it's impossible to do that anyways. But for now, you know, because I'm getting such good training, I mean, I might go out, you know, for 3 weeks or whatever. But yeah, I don't really see anything like that happening in the near future.
Yeah, 100%. It's a great way for you to learn from all these different coaches, get different looks, as you said there, at MMA. You've been at Manchester top team, be at BST, Albuquerque, New Mexico, one of the best gyms in the world. You know, this is incredible learning for you. And we'll kind of move on to your next fight. So you kind of recap this again earlier. I said, what was the question would be you fought on Fight Island, and not many people can, you know, say that they fought on Fight Island. It's a one of experience that someone's that only one of a kind like you will be able to experience in their whole lifetime. What was the experience like fighting on Fight Island for the UFC?
It was mad, just because of the first time they done it, they were still trying to figure things out. They were obviously, like, you know, I think it was their second or third week that they had on the island, so they're still really trying to figure everything out and do everything as proper and organized as they could. Second time I went, and it was even more organized, even better. Like, you already knew where to go, everyone knew what you had to do and stuff like that. So it was even more of an amazing experience, just because they sort of leveled up from the first time that we went out to Fight Island. But yeah, obviously, I mean, to have a UFC debut in Abu Dhabi, and, like, you know, you go to the W Hotel in an arena that Dana White and everyone, they built themselves, and you know, like, it's going to be in the history books that this has been done, and to be able to fight on something that's going to be historically remembered is absolutely amazing. And yeah, man, it's a one of a kind. It's a one of a kind place, one of a kind treatment that they give you in the UFC, and obviously a one of a kind of experience. Fighting, you know, without a crowd, but, you know, on Fight Island itself, yeah, it was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, it must have felt incredible. You know, it must have been a special arena to fight at. You fought, if I'm correct, you fought twice in Fight Island, didn't you?
Yeah.
Well, that's not many people can say that either.
Yeah, yeah. No, I mean, to be able to get quite a quick turnaround was quite good for me. And, you know, even now, like, you know, I'm already looking to have a quick turnaround. You know, working on certain areas and stuff like that. But I'm ready to get back in there again. Like I say, I'm not here to waste time in my career. I'm ready to. I feel like I have the skill set to go and fight the top guys. So I just want to go out there and show it.
100%. In your first UFC fight, you got the win, got the TKO finish. You know, you couldn't continue. And then your second fight, the UFC, they done you absolutely no favors. They gave you Jimmy Crute. This is the two prospects, one of the best two prospects in the division, and they square them up against each other. You know, this is the big leagues. This is what they do, and unfortunately that night it didn't go your way. But what can you learn from this loss?
I learned quite a lot of things. I mean, you've got to give massive respect and credit to Jimmy Crute, an amazing athlete, a great fighter. We actually had a beer afterwards and stuff like that. It was nice to be able to talk and have that, sort of mutual respect between athletes. Something that you don't often see in MMA nowadays. But it was very nice to be able to sit and chat with him and to, take some pieces of advice and stuff like that. And really, it just shows that that he fought a great strategy. He had a great game plan. His coaches figured me out really well, and the things that he did were, from a technical standpoint, it was quite simplistic but so effective. Like, he'd done everything, like I said, really, really well. All the things that I'd worked on really hard in camp had worked amazing. Like my takedown defense, he couldn't take me down. So, that was one thing that I was really sort of heavily focusing on, because I knew, against Solomon Jacek, who's also a striker, he wanted to take him down. He took him down with ease. So I thought, okay, if that's one thing I'm going to focus on right now, because and then the stuff that I would do, that would be working in sparring and stuff like that. Unfortunately, didn't work on Jimmy Crute, and I feel like it just shows that there was probably a lack of strategy on our point. We had to figure out certain things in his game but he tends to grapple a lot more, so it was harder for me to see. But now it opens up these little adjustments that I need to make in order to be a much better fighter, but not only to beat guys like him, but to beat guys at the top. I need to make those adjustments, and I'm very thankful, because if this didn't happen, I wouldn't see those holes, and it would have been worse down the line fighting even higher level opponents. So like I say, massive credit to Jimmy. He fought an amazing fight, great game plan, and he came out on top. And like I say, I can't wait to work my way back up to the ranks, fight all the top fighters, and prove that I am one of the best fighters. I know a lot of people are now counting me out after this fight, but I can assure you I'm going to come back, and I'm going to come back much stronger.
Yeah, that's a good way of putting it. Everyone's counting you out, after getting finished by Jimmy Crute. But Jimmy Crute is an amazing prospect. He's going to go on to do great things in the light heavyweight division. Almost knocked my can over. There's no shame in that loss. And same as you, you're a great prospect in the light heavyweight division. You're going to do amazing things. You're going to beat some of the best guys in the world. I know that, because your style was absolutely incredible. Your karate, you're not BJJ. You're a black belt in karate, and your kicks are absolutely ferocious. I absolutely love to see you fight. Your style just makes me it's exciting every time.
Oh, thank you very much, man. I really appreciate it. Like I say, I've not really been given the opportunity to be able to throw the stuff out as much, but now I'm going to make sure that I'm going to be able to throw out all these devastating techniques and just show exactly who I am. I feel like there's some sort of block in my mind that doesn't allow me to, obviously because I fought a lot of grapplers, so I had to be very mindful and wary about, but now I have, like I said, I've worked on those areas of my game so much that I'm not afraid anymore. So now it's going to make me even more dangerous, because it's going to make me want to strike and do more crazy things in the fight. So with that being said, you lot can expect a lot of very spectacular performances in the future. Like I say, I took the loss quite hard, but now I was straight back into the gym, ready to work, ready to get better, ready to improve, and that's why I'm going to come out much better in my next fight.
Yeah, talking about expecting and the future, when can we expect to see you back?
Well, I want to obviously get back as soon as possible. If someone drops out in December, then obviously I'll happily step in and fight if I can get a fight in Vegas. If that doesn't work out, and then I think the next fight island is going to be end of January into February. So that's when I'll be looking to fight next. That sounds more realistic, but look, at the end of the day, I'm always going to be ready. I'm always on weight. I'm never too far away from 205 pounds. So I'll easily, even if it's like a couple of weeks notice or a week's notice, I'll be able to make the weight. Like I said, I've been working on correcting those errors. I've already corrected a lot of them so far, and I'm just working to implement them more into my game. And then, like I say, it'll be very soon, next couple of months.
I can't wait to see you back. You're exciting every time you fight. I've mentioned that already. And you said there about your walk weight. Would you walk around?
Well, to be honest, before my debut, I weighed in without having to cut any water. I was literally 206 pounds on the dot without cutting any water whatsoever. So I literally just made weight naturally. The second time around, I had to cut about 9 pounds. And again, it was very easy. Usually I stay around about 217, 215. I don't verge too far from that. Like, I don't really get to 225 too much, but when I'm in shape and I'm training and I'm not eating bad food, 215, maybe a little bit less than that, if I'm really on point with everything. But yeah, man, I don't stray too far from the 205 mark.
Yeah, I can't wait to see you back, and hopefully you do come in a fight in December or January, February. You said you want to step on the Fight Island again. That would be a hat trick.
Yeah, imagine that, the three-peat of the Fight Islands. So it would be amazing to fight on there again. And like I said, I just can't wait to show people my skill set. I feel like I've again, I say that every interview, but I haven't done it. But when it happens, you lot will know, because I can guarantee you it will be a very spectacular performance.
Mm-hmm. When someone gets a hat trick in football, they end up getting like a trophy, like a golden ball, I think, or something like that. So, are you going to get a golden trophy? Are you going to pitch that to Dana White? I've got a hat trick on Fight Island.
To get a hat trick. Yeah. I mean, if they give me something like that, I'll take it by all means. But I don't think they're going to be dishing out any prizes like that. Maybe another grand bonus, but not a gold trophy.
Alright, we'll move on to the fun bits that I've got lined up at the bottom. I'll talk about, while we're on the topic of football, do you support any football teams?
Ever since I got with my girlfriend, I've been a Manchester City supporter, so we'll go with that.
Oof. Well, not too keen on that one. Not too keen on that one.
Listen, for the longest time I was an Arsenal supporter, but you got to keep your girlfriend happy. So I'm now going for the all blues for Manchester City.
I guess that's better than Arsenal, because I'm a West Ham fan, so that's much better than Arsenal.
Okay, well, there you go. So, although not the best choice, at least we've got something to keep you happy.
Yeah, I haven't got the best choice either, but I've got to roll with it.
Fair play.
To finish off the interview, this is quite a fun one. A few years ago, a few people might know, but you on a British dating site. You want to take me out, and you went out of a show, and you came out with a girl. I think her name was it Shelley?
Yeah.
How did things go with her? Did it go alright?
Well, clearly it didn't go that great. If I got another girlfriend now, but I'm not gonna lie. It was a great experience. I mean, we all had a good time. Like, all the guys from the show and from my episode, and all the other girls are really cool. They came to one of my fights as well. So, like I said, it's just a really good group of people. We all had a really good time. I mean, nothing came out of it, but the experience was absolutely amazing. And, all the nerves of coming down the love lift and everything, I got to experience all that. So, and like I say, from my personality of not really being the most outspoken sort of guy, and then finally finding my feet and finding out my personality, was absolutely amazing. Then to be able to put that out into a dating show was great. It was a hell of a load of fun. It was a great experience that I'll be able to look back on the rest of my life and be like, I did it. So it was absolutely amazing.
Well, I guess your light is off for that girl, because no lighty, no likey, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Let it hear the best.
Yeah, so that's the end of the interview. I thank you so much for joining me with us, and I hope to see you back soon in the octagon, and get your hand raised once again.
100%, man. Thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. I had a really good time. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, and we'll talk soon.
All right, nice one, brother. Take care.
Thank you.